We're finishing up this series of tutorials on the HTML encode translator with the ultimate goal program, which is the console application version of HTML encode translator, or just HET as I've been abbreviating it. The console application variation of this is almost identical to the GUI variation that I showed you in the previous tutorial, and I don't think I'll go into a lot of detail on how it works, except to explain the main difference between the console application and the GUI is the console application receives its file name from the command line via command line arguments, which we also explained in a previous tutorial. And what makes this variation incredibly useful is Windows Explorer, but I think it'll make more sense if I just show you why that is rather than try and tell you about it. And if what I'm saying makes no sense to you, you probably need to catch up on the last 4 or 5 tutorials, and by far the easiest place to catch up on these tutorials is my website at cyborgmagus.com. And you can click on the link in the description below in order to get there. Well, in order to compile and run the or the console application version of HET, first we'll open a command prompt window, and once we're in the window, I'll use my navigation accelerator to go to the directory we've been working in. It's a Hello World directory, so I just type HW. And once again, previous tutorials explain how all this stuff works. Then if I do a directory listing of everything on here, you'll see the 2 actual files I have are het.cs, which is our program, and a program to be translated, which is HTML template.html. So if I highlight this with the mouse and hit enter to copy it to the clipboard, and then do CSC and hit right mouse button to paste that from the clipboard and hit enter, we do a compile of that program. And then what we want to do is highlight this file to be translated, because I'm too lazy to type all that in, and hit enter to put that in the clipboard, and then type het for the .exe program name, and right mouse click to copy the HTML file from the clipboard and hit enter. And of course Microsoft says, do you trust anybody? I don't really, but I'll run it anyhow. And now if we do a directory listing, we'll see we not only have the HTML file, but also the translation file, which is the same name but with a .het appended to it, which I pretty much covered in the previous tutorial. If we use Notepad++ to look at the program itself, you'll see it's pretty much identical code to the GUI. We have the structure, the array of structures, the same global file names for the untranslate file name and the translate file name, which has the .het on it, and the same string that we read the entire file into, which is str untranslate, and the string that we translate the characters that are these HTML special characters into these encode characters, like less than into ampersand LT semicolon. And once again, we have the same 2 low-level routines, one that checks if the character we're looking at needs to be translated and returns a true if it does, and one that actually does the translation. It looks up the character in the table or array of structs, and if it finds it, it returns the string that is the translation of it. And here we have the loop that goes through every single character in the untranslated file that's previously been read into the untranslate string. But the main difference is in the public static main, we're reading in the parameters from the command file using string array named args. And where this technique is really useful is Windows Explorer. You just go to the directory that has the files that you're interested in with Windows Explorer. You're interested in translating. And I've moved the het.exe program over to my etc. directory. And for some reason, when I do an open with, which is the main technique we're going to use to run it from Windows Explorer, it doesn't show the program name. So I ended up creating a bat file, het.bat, which basically just calls the exe file, passing the parameter through. And it's simply a device to be able to see the file name. I have no idea why Windows does that. But if I right click on this file name and then I do an open with and select the het.bat, which is really the het.exe, it runs the program and you'll see the .het file appears. And if I open this with Notepad++, you see this is the untranslated file and has all kinds of HTML special characters like less than, greater than, quotation marks, and so on. And if I open the het file with Notepad, you'll see these have gotten translated into ampersand LT semicolon for less than, ampersand GT semicolon for greater than, and so on. And the real advantage of this is when I publish the source code that we're just looking at on my web page, if I put this actual code on my web page, you wouldn't see most of the program. You'd see the JavaScript part because it doesn't have any special characters. You wouldn't see the script line, but you'd see the function part. And all these others wouldn't be displayed at all because they'd be interpreted as HTML tags. And the browser says, oh, I'm not supposed to display these. These are HTML tags. They just tell me to do something. So these translation characters allow you to actually see all the source code. And in fact, this is a .het file that I copied over to the website in order to be able to display it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you learned a lot. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you need to catch up on concepts that I'm just flying over here because I've already explained them previously, remember to go to the website so you can catch up on the videos.